Hey, hey. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our Financial Freedom Blueprint. With so many people asking for the recording of the last webinar, we thought we would re-record the webinar to be a more abbreviated version that we thought would best suit our clients, because that would cut out some of the natural dead air time for the live show. So with that being said, I will get right into it. So first, I'll just kind of go through and reiterate what we're doing here in the introduction. So 1 second, I can kind of skip past this actually. Okay, right here. So first, I'll just actually introduce myself. So my name is Corbin. So my real estate company is Corbin & Co. at Stonehouse Realty in Langley. I've been a realtor since 2014. I bought my own home when I was in 2011 when I was 24. So that was my first taste of real estate. I started my company, Corbin & Co., back in 2016, and my focus has been primarily in residential real estate, but our big specialty is investment. And that's what kind of brought me to do this webinar with Scott today. We do development, pre-sales, construction. I also have a commercial partner. But since then, 2016, we built the business in a big way. I've sold over 650 homes. I've got a team that works with me, Chris McGill, Deborah Granberg, two amazing partners, as well as four other assistants on the team. So we're a big team, and we're one of the top teams in the Fraser Valley. And I will get right into Scott. If you could go ahead and share about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Corbin. So my name's Scott Sarai, mortgage broker here in Vancouver. Working with Corbin & Co. for the last couple of years here. Have a passion for real estate, and we love to help our clients create that wealth inside the real estate market. And we're going to show you how we do that tonight here on this webinar.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'll take you to our roadmap, which will get us organized. As you could tell, I need some help with that. This is our roadmap to kind of get us going. So we've done the intro. So the first question, the first thing we're going to talk about is, why do you want to invest? What are the reasons that people invest, and why do you want to invest, and why should you invest? And then why real estate is a different investment than other investments. So why real estate's a different vehicle, what makes it special. There's three reasons why real estate's very special and very different in terms of investment. And then Scott's going to talk about the nuts and bolts of actually doing that, and what it takes to get the financing required to purchase, what that looks like, and going through the dollars and cents. So I'll defer to him for that. And at the end, instead of a live Q&A, we already did a live Q&A in the last one. We're going to leave it open in the comment section on whatever platform you're seeing this, or directly in an email to us. You can ask us questions anytime. So with that being said, we're going to skip the pop quiz because, again, we're going for the abbreviated version, and this is not live. So skip and skip and skip. Why invest? So this is when I was ask anyone, hey, anyone want to give me some ideas? But we'll just go ahead and go through it. So why invest? So number one, potential for appreciation. So this is kind of the more condensed the way people often think about real estate. They think, well, if they buy real estate and it goes up, that's how you make real estate profit in real estate. So that's very true. So owning property can be a great way to build wealth over time. As the value of your property increases, so does your net worth. So the average appreciation since 2005 in the Fraser Valley for all property types was, and you should write this down, 20.6% overall in the Fraser Valley was the average annualized appreciation of housing in the Fraser Valley. So you should consider what that looks like when you compare it to other rates of return. 20.6%. Number two, income generation. So when it comes to income generation, you can earn passive income by renting out a property to tenants. So essentially, whether it be your primary resident and you've got tenants in your coach house, your basement, your home, students living in your home, there's all kinds of ways to generate income there. Or whether it's a complete investment property, whether you're buying that home as an investment, like Scott and I are going to talk to you about today, acquired investment properties, and then another person is living there, a tenant who is there paying down the mortgage, and then there's cash flow. We can talk about that in a second there too. And number three, diversification. So when you think about all the different types of assets that you can own, the wisdom with diversification is that oftentimes when one asset's doing well, another type of asset class might not do as well. So most people would agree, and we strongly advocate for real estate being one of the primary parts of your asset. The assets that you hold. So by diversifying, I should say, over these different classes, it reduces the impact of any one asset on your performance. And then lastly, real estate is a tangible asset. And what does that mean? It means, well, I'll give an example. So it's not just numbers on a screen. A tangible asset, you can see it, you can touch it. It can be used for a variety of purposes, such as providing a home, working, renting it out, long-term rentals it could be, or short-term rentals. It's something you can improve through renovations, updates, and increase the value of it. Oftentimes, and most oftentimes, the sum of all the updates, renovations, and the cost there is not, when you put a certain amount of money into your property, I should say, you often increase the value of it by much more than just the cost of what those updates did. So there's many ways you can think about it. But I mean, as I mentioned, many different use cases for it. So things like cryptocurrencies, NFTs, they don't have that intrinsic value you would say in a comparison. So if something tragic happened and you needed money in a quick way, well, if you needed a home to stay in a quick way, or a place to stay, or you needed to come, say, for example, you lose your job, you could move into your basement suite and you could rent out your upstairs. And there's so many oodles of use cases. So it is a tangible asset with many, many use cases. Why is real estate different? So why is real estate different than other investments? Well, we just covered tangible assets. I mean, Bitcoin, NFTs, stocks, you can't live there. You can't use that as a home. But real estate is different for a number of different ways. Number one, leverage and financing. So this is where I'll stop and pause for a second, because this is actually, by leaps and bounds, and I'll let Scott address this too, is by leaps and bounds one of the ways that real estate is so much different than your traditional investments. So it's unique in the sense that you're allowed to take a loan up to 95% up of the value of the home that you're buying. You can take it out as a loan, meaning that you're only putting down as low as 5% in some cases to buy the property, and the bank will give you the loan for the other 95% by proving that you can support the loan. And again, I'll let Scott get into that. But if you think about your primary residence, that's 5% down. And let's just pretend that home went up 5%. So you buy the home for $500,000. You put down 25%, or sorry, $25,000, I should say, which is 5%. And that home goes up 5% in value to $525,000. You've effectively earned 100% ROI. And Scott's going to get into some more of the math on that, but you should be able to see with that differential that it's 100% ROI there. 1 second. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second. Hey, Scott, can we pause it for a second? My eyes are killing me. 1 second. So leverage and financing. So very unique, where in some cases you're allowed to take a loan out for 95% of the value and put as little as 5% down. So it's that leverage that we're going to talk about, and that's a big part of the magic here for how the investments work. But to give you an example, if you buy a home for $500,000 and that home you put down 5%, $25,000, and then that home goes up just 5% appreciation, you've effectively made 100% on your hard equity, cash down. You put 25 in to make 25, you made 100% ROI. So that's very different than most things like stocks, where if you buy $100,000 of stocks and they go up 5%, you've made the 5% because you put $100,000 in and they've gone up 5%. So you can start to see from a leverage standpoint why real estate's very different. Tax benefits. By leaps and bounds, this is probably one of the very few things that, especially on your primary residence, that this makes the biggest difference in terms of all your investment classes. So there's a variety of tax benefits in terms of, when you have a rental property. Let Scott get into that. Some are more sophisticated ways of looking at it than not. But the most important thing is that when you have your primary residence that you own and live in, and that home appreciates as it does, an average of 20.6% a year, that appreciation when you sell that home is tax-free. The capital gains exemption on your primary residence is tax-free versus on any other property or investment, you're paying a substantial amount of tax there. So again, Scott will get more into the details, but it's a massive difference over anything else. Control, flexibility. We covered it before. There's lots of use cases. It's a tangible asset. You want to live in the basement, rent out the top. You want to live in the coach house and rent out your entire house. You want to live in the property and have no one else rent it out, of course. I mean, there's so many ways you can use that physical, tangible asset to generate income, to change your style of living. So the flexibility and control, you don't have that with obviously any other assets quite like housing. And then I'll move on to Scott. There's a nice picture when your hair was a little more flowy. I'll let you get into it, buddy.
Okay, so we're up and running. Thanks again, Corbin, for having me for a second time. This is the real streamlined version. We had overwhelming response, people reaching out for the recording. So Corbin and I thought, actually, it was Corbin's idea, thought, let's just re-record this and get right to the point. So that's what we're going to do here. So what can be achieved by owning one investment property? Multiple of the things, and we're going to discuss all of them quickly. So you can pay off your mortgage in 10 years. That's option number one, by owning a rental property. You can retire much earlier than anticipated. So if you had that Freedom 60 or Freedom 55, why don't we look at like a Freedom 40 or Freedom 45? This is a big one for Canadians and is top of mind in these last couple of years. What if you could fund your children's college education? So a 4-year degree program, 5-year degree program at any major university, and have them finish with no debt. That's huge. Or for those that are self-employed like Corbin and myself, what about creating a self-funded pension plan for retirement? So the days of everyone having a pension are far and few between. And now as self-employed individuals or even employees, pensions aren't as common, and we need to look outside the box on how to create our own for retirement. Questions that you may be asking yourself: what's the catch? What do you have to pay? Corbin and I are happy to say that you're not going to pay me a dime. Like, we don't charge for this. This isn't a weekend course that I'm selling you at the end where you have to give me your credit card and come back. This is free information. This is value added for Corbin's clients, and we want to educate you and have you as prepared as possible and as knowledgeable as possible on what can be achieved by investing inside of real estate. Okay. So quick overview of what I'm going to accomplish here in the next 15-20 minutes. We're going to go over the basics of investing. So Corbin kind of led you into or segued you into what I'm going to talk about. So he mentioned ROI, cash flow, leveraged investing. Not only are we going to talk about it, but I'm going to actually explain to you what ROI means for those who aren't well-versed in the investment world. Don't worry, we got you covered. Okay, one of my favorites, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and let's follow what the big banks have been doing for years. We're going to look at real estate versus traditional stocks. So whether it's RSPs, mutual funds, we're going to compare apples to apples, and we're going to show you that the proof is in the numbers. Why BC is a hotspot for the real estate investing and just real estate purchases. How to create that 7-figure retirement plan. So as I mentioned, if you don't have a pension from your employer, don't worry, we got you covered. And then how to get started. How do you actually go out and achieve these goals or these dreams or these aspirations by real estate? Okay. So we're going to really go back to grassroots here and break down this to like an elementary level. What is cash flow? So for the intents and purposes of real estate and holding real estate, cash flow is whether or not you have money left over or you're short money at the end of the month. So we're going to add up all the expenses on a property. So the mortgage payment, property taxes, heat and hydro, and we're going to minus what you collect for rent. And if you have no money left over, you're cash flow neutral. If you're short a couple $100, you're cash flow neutral or cash flow negative. And if you have extra money, surpluses, you're cash flow positive. All the numbers I show you tonight are based on a cash flow neutral scenario, meaning that all the rent you collect equals all the expenses. In a perfect world, you would be cash flow positive with a little bit of buffer for the property. ROI, return on investment. So Corbin already spoke to ROI multiple times throughout the opening portion of this webinar. ROI is return on investment. So if you invest $100 and in X amount of time from now, it's worth $110. What is your ROI on that investment? And the ROI for that scenario would be 10%. Appreciation is very similar to ROI. So if you buy a property today at, let's say, $1 million, and in a year from now, it's worth 1.1, effectively the appreciation is 10%, and the property has had a lift of $100,000 in equity. This has to be one of my favorite things, or I don't know what you want to call it, favorite items in real estate, and more importantly, investing in real estate, is leverage investing. So I have a couple of slides that really breaks it out and breaks it down to what it is. As Corbin alluded to, this is like getting multitudes of return on your money. And basically in real estate, you don't have to put down the whole value of the home as a down payment. You can put down 5, 10, 15, 20% or more. And effectively you are leveraged into the property because your 5% got you the other 95% of that house or apartment's value. Net worth, basically, you add up all the things you own. So stocks, bank accounts, cash balances, your homes, your cars, your toys, whatever you have. And then you back out the loans, the lines of credits, and the payments on all those items. And that number is your net worth, positive or negative. So kiss and follow the banks. As I mentioned, one of my favorite things to do. The banks have been doing it for years. You walk into any bank in Canada and you say, "Hi, Mr. Banker, I'd like to invest $120,000 in mutual funds." That banker is going to say, "Okay, great. Thank you. Here's $120,000 worth of stocks," right? Dollar for dollar. Nothing crazy there. You walk into that same bank, you talk to that same banker, and you say, "Hey, Mr. Banker, I have that same $120,000. I'd like to invest in real estate." That banker is going to lend you $480,000 to that money. And in this charter bank's mind, over the last couple hundred years, they have deemed real estate 400% safer than investing in mutual funds, stocks, any of that traditional stuff. So I get flack from this from my colleagues in the industry who work for big banks. This is something they didn't want you to know. They always like to kind of hide it from the end consumer because they're looking after their stockholders and shareholders and trying to create profit. So let's assume the following. Let's assume you want to invest $720 per month for the next 10 years. And the next slide will illustrate why I chose $720. But let's say every month, the first of the month, you want to invest $720 perpetually for the next 10 years, right? So on and so forth. At a 5% return on investment, after 10 years, it's worth $112,000. So I'm not going to diminish that savings. It's a lot of money, but okay, great. $112,000 saved. So we have that $112,000. That's simple math, compounding growth, 5% ROI for 10 years. That's the number. What Corbin and I are advocating for and what the new school mentality is, let's invest in real estate. So that same $720. And the reason I chose that is because as of today, the monthly borrowing cost to borrow $120,000 on a home equity line of credit is approximately $720. With that $120,000 down payment, you can go out and purchase a $600,000 property. Holding that property for the next 10 years with 5% appreciation. Now remember, Corbin said that the average appreciation in the Fraser Valley is 20.6%. So we're cutting that in by a quarter. So we're only factoring 1/4 of the appreciation. That property will be worth $978,000 in 10 years. You will have other people's money working hard for you, paying down your mortgage. So you only have a mortgage of $360,000. And again, that's at today's rates. We're at the high end of the cycle. So almost guaranteed, we're going to have lower rates over the next 10 years. So you'll have more principal pay down. But in this current situation, so if all things were equal for the next 10 years, your return on investment is $617,000. So I got to show you the numbers side by side. Old school mentality, investing in stocks worth $112,000. Great, good job. Same monthly investment, you now have $617,000 put away. So if we have a bit longer of a runway, say we're a bit younger, you have 15 or 20 years before you want to look at retirement or before you want to sell properties. Let's look at the 20-year scenario. you have $1.32 million in profit, and we've already paid back that $120,000 loan you took from your line of credit when you purchased that first property. So we're talking $1.32 million. Like, that's a lot of money. All the what ifs, the skeptics, the people who think real estate's not the best, let's assume property value never increases for the next 10 years. So the 30-year average, as Corbin said, was 20%. Let's say the next 10 years it tanks and it's 0% year over year for the next 10 years. Your stocks at 5% will be worth the same $112,000, but you are still $128,000 ahead by investing in real estate. Let's say you have a great stock manager and your stocks outperform real estate. So let's say your property that you purchased is only doing 2.5%. So this is 1/8 the 30-year average, and your stocks are doing a 10% return on investment year over year. You are still $260,000 ahead. And the answers of why this is what Corbin alluded to. It's because it's a leveraged investment, and you're not going into it dollar for dollar. You're going in at $1 of yours for $5 of the bank's. So I'll touch on this briefly, but I think Corbin's the one that is the expert in this niche or this topic. But these are my takes on why a BC market's a good market for investing or even for purchasing primary real estate. So in BC, the economy isn't dependent on one industry. We have tourism, we have natural resources, we have film and entertainment, we have import-export, we have some of the largest ports in the world for importing and exporting. So if one industry tanks, we still have other ones to prop up. Our other provinces in Canada, they don't have that strong of a versatility or diversification with the economy. So if one of their major sectors tanks, the market usually follows suit. In 2022, BC had 83,000 new residents to the province inside of one calendar year. The unemployment rate as of December 2022 was 5%, and I think that number still stands true as of today. The vacancy rate for BC is 1.4%, so that means only 1% of all properties in BC sit vacant, otherwise they're rented or occupied. And as Corbin mentioned, the 30-year average for appreciation in the Fraser Valley is a whopping 20.6%. So as Canadians, we are conservative people. We've been told and conditioned to think certain things. So the old mentality is you pay off your mortgage as fast as you can. And what was achieved by that in retirement is that you have your house paid for and whatever or what little cash you had to save along the way. What Corbin and I are preaching and what the Financial Freedom Blueprint offers is we're going to use your house to its fullest potential. This becomes your investment vehicle, and your retirement becomes your home, and then the equity in one or multiple rental properties. Okay, so this slide is for those who are looking to create a pension, and I'm going to lay it out for you. Very simple, 4 or 5 steps to follow. Step 1, we're going to refinance your principal residence, and we're going to use what's called a home equity line of credit to make that down payment. Now, I'll kind of briefly explain what that is. If you have a property with 20% or more equity, so let's say your property is $1 million and you owe $500,000 on it, you have an available equity cushion of $300,000 that you can borrow. You can use it to do whatever you want with, but what we like to advocate for is you use it to invest. Now, you pay interest on that money you use, so it doesn't cost anything to refinance your mortgage and take that line of credit, but the minute you use it, you pay. But if you borrow that money to invest to earn income in Canada, it's tax deductible. So today the cost of borrowing is 7.2%, but after you factor in the tax deductibility segment of it, it's approximately a 4 to 4.5% cost of borrowing to you versus that 7.2. Okay, so step 1, purchase investment property, and we're going to do that by refinancing your principal residence. After about 3 to 5 years, depending what market conditions do, we're going to refinance, take out the equity to buy investment property number 2. And the way we do this is refinance the rental, possibly your primary, and pull out enough equity to purchase that property. Guess what? We're going to wait another 2, 3, maybe 4 years, again, depending on what the market's doing. And we're going to repeat step number 2. We're just going to refinance both, maybe all properties, and pull out enough equity to be able to buy investment property number 3. And then we're going to play the long game we're going to hold these properties for 15 years. Let's say we are going to hold them for 25 years, just because I want to show you the bigger number here and like the bigger wow. If you do this scenario and hold these properties for 25 years, your ROI, your return on investment, is almost $4.3 million. So now we're going to compare what I just showed you versus investing in real estate. And I think I'll just show you the 25-year scenario, because I think it drives the point home a bit further. So after 25 years investing in stocks, approximate net worth is $427,000, $500,000, right? It's a good amount of money. Like, kudos to you for doing that. But if you use that same monthly cost, that same monthly borrowing amount, and did the financial freedom blueprint and invested in real estate, your approximate net worth is sitting around 4.3 million. That's a difference of 3.87 million. What would that mean for you and your family, you and your loved ones? A difference of 3.8 million in your post-working environment into retirement in the latter half of your life, right? So my question for you, 25 years down the road, what sounds better? 5 years left on your mortgage and a net worth of 4.3 million, or just be mortgage free? Now, the just be mortgage free. So as Canadians, we are conditioned to take a 5-year fix, do anything and everything to pay down our mortgage. Any extra cash we have, any birthday money, Christmas money, we're going to throw down on our mortgage. The problem with that is that we're sacrificing any future growth in our savings by not saving over the 25-year run. The 5 years left on your mortgage and a net worth of 4.3 million. Let's say you want to be apples to apples. So option one was just be mortgage free. Let's say you have an approximately a $200,000 balance on your mortgage. We're going to pay that off. So now you have no mortgages and you have an approximate net worth of 4.1 million. So the difference here, you're mortgage free in both scenarios, but now you have a difference of 4.1 million. Pretty astronomical. This slide I love to talk to because in BC, a lot of people are working second jobs, working overtime, driving Uber, just crazy things, right? What if we bought real estate and treated that like a second job or a side hustle based on 8% appreciation? So this is, half, a third of what the Fraser Valley has been doing for 30 years. Because of the equity being created in your property with the appreciation and then the mortgage being paid down, in year one, you're effectively paying yourself $58,000. Year 10, you're paying yourself $112,000 a year. And year 15, you're paying yourself $162,000 to manage one property. That's crazy. Like, you can't make that much on a side hustle with as little to no effort as it is to own real estate. So to wrap up here, when working with us and when we work with Corbin, every single one of our clients gets full, detailed, custom investment budgets, breaking down every single expense imaginable. I know Corbin has phenomenal spreadsheets to be able to forecast out what properties will be worth down the road. I'll show you what the property costs today in real dollars and what that looks like for your family or for your finances. This is just a quick overview of what they look like. They're pretty in depth. I love spreadsheets. That's why I'm a mortgage broker. So we take it to another level at our brokerage. So that's just a quick overview. Finally, to wrap up, you may be asking, how do you get started? So we only work with 10 clients a month because of the strategy and the planning and the details that go into each client. So you're going to schedule a 20-minute call after this. We'll see if we're a fit to work together. And then if you send us all the required documents that we asked you to, because you are friends and family and clients of Corbin and his team, we're going to bump you to the top of the list, get you top of queue, and we'll get started on your file right away and get you that pre-approval back within 24 to 48 hours. So to book a call with me, chatwithscott.ca. It's a 15-minute, no strings attached conversation. We can just, high-level overview, see what you're looking to achieve, and see if we're a fit to work together. Okay, Corbin, back to you, buddy.
You made it, guys. Time to celebrate. That was the last slide. And I also had our contact information. at the end. So I want to leave the screen up on this one for anybody who wants to write down our contact info. So yeah, thank you everyone for being on the call. For anybody who wants to reach out to get more information, to work with us and find out what plan can work for them or get some more information, we would love to hear from you, whether it's a phone call, email, like Scott said, you can reach out or just comment in the section below. We're happy to respond there too. But yeah, contact information on this screen. My phone number's up. We'll put our information down below. And again, thanks so much for everyone who joined the webinar and who downloaded this. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Take care.